Hi everyone, welcome to your first guided learning activity for the semester. Hopefully you found everything all right in D2L. If not, keep playing around with it. I think once you get the hang of it, you'll find that it's really well integrated and it's easy to use. What I'd like to have throughout the semester is that when I tell you you have something to do, let's say I want you to watch a video. So you go to the content page, you see, okay, on my to-do list I have to watch this video. It'll be highlighted blue, like a hyperlink. Go ahead and click on it. It will take you directly to that video. Okay, so that will help you kind of navigate and keep things straight. Alternatively, you can go and find it yourself in, maybe it's in the content pages, maybe it's a discussion link, so you can access that through the bars at the top of the screen as well. Okay, so hopefully you all are ready to get started, and you've gone over the syllabus, you've taken the syllabus quiz, you feel comfortable with all of that information. If not, email me. Obviously, like I said, in the syllabus, I'm always open for emails and to help you out with anything you need. Okay, so this first guided learning activity, we're really going to talk about what is anthropology, why is it even relevant in today's world. So I know most of you probably aren't studying anthropology, most students don't. Okay, so why are you taking this? Why is this filling one of your requirements, let's say, or why should you be interested? What can you learn from this class, from this field that will help you in your future? Okay, so that's kind of what we want to talk about in the beginning. This textbook you have, this course takes a very applied approach, which we'll learn a little bit more about later, but really that's just how does anthropology fit into the world? How can we use this framework, this way of thinking, in a variety of fields? Okay, so as we work through this entire guided learning activity, not this video itself, but they're broken up into smaller videos, we're going to talk about how did anthropology begin? What was the cultural context that allowed anthropology to form as a field? Where did it even begin? Did it begin in the U.S. or did it begin in Europe? Was it an earlier field? Okay. What was happening at the time that influenced the development of the field? I mentioned in the intro video that there are 4 subfields, so we're going to talk about what are those 4 subfields. They're biological or physical anthropology, cultural anthropology, linguistic anthropology, and archaeology. Archaeology is probably the most well-known field of anthropology. And usually people don't think about it in context with the others. So when you tell people, oh, I'm studying anthropology, or if I say to people, I have a degree in anthropology, I'm an anthropologist, they say, oh, like Indiana Jones. Okay, so they're thinking more about, number one, not a real anthropologist. Number two, they're thinking more about archaeology. So people think about archaeology right off the top of their heads more than the other fields of anthropology, but all fields, all 4 subfields are equally relevant and equally beneficial in our world today. So we're going to talk about each of those, and then because it's an overarching field of anthropology, each subfield shares these common characteristics. Okay, and we're going to talk about those. So what holds this field together? It's a very, very broad field. I can be studying ancient Egypt before written record. I can be studying humans in Harlem. I can be studying chimpanzees, and I'm using anthropology in all of those contexts, right? So it's a very broad field. So what binds it all together? And then how do anthropologists know what we know? How do we use anthropology in the field? So this is starting to get into applied perspective. So what do we do with anthropology? That's great. So you learn about humans, but then what do you do with it even? And then what are some ethical issues that anthropology raises? Okay, so when you're working with often underprivileged or disadvantaged people, like we do in anthropology a lot, you kind of run into some ethical issues. Also, you're getting a lot of personal information in anthropology, whether it's cultural information that's shared by everyone in the culture, or you're speaking with someone specifically and you learn a lot about them as a person. What ethical issues does that raise? Okay, but overall, we're going to have how is anthropology put to work in the world and what ethical issues does anthropology raise. Those are going to be common themes throughout the semester. So we're not going to talk about that entire topic today. Right? It's going to be a theme throughout the semester. We'll continue to talk about those things as we move through. Okay, and each of the topics will kind of cover those things will come up. We'll be able to talk about those issues. So basically, anthropology provides this powerful framework, I think, for asking questions about humanity. And by humanity, we just mean humans, the way we live our lives, things like that. Okay, and then it helps us to grasp the complexity of the human experience. So what does that mean? Okay, grasp the complexity of the human experience. So being a human is very complex. It's not like being a dog where you wake up, you eat, maybe you hang out with some dog friends, and then you go back to bed. Okay, it's much more complex than that. We have individual thought processes, we have broader cultural processes. We hold a lot of personal knowledge and cultural knowledge. It's very complex. So anthropology allows us, through the 4 subfields, to break down the complexity of being a human, what it means to be human, and to live as a human. We break that down into individual topics of language, the history of how humans have developed, and we talk about humans now, we talk about past humans, and then we look specifically at, let's say, language, or we look at religion, or how we use art, or things like that. We can look at politics, economics, how humans interact with their environment, and so we can break this down into little chunks. We'll study that, and then as a field we come together, from all 4 subfields, we come together to kind of try to create this holistic picture of what humanity is and what humans are. And then from an applied perspective, it lets us understand social problems. Okay, so anthropology, we can apply what we learn about humans and about culture to solving social problems. Let's say immigration, for example. Okay, I had a student write a really great paper on immigration in Europe and how anthropology can play a really important role in helping us understand why people emigrate, the political or economic reasons they do so, or cultural or personal reasons, and then how they're received in their new home, in their new culture. Okay, and immigration policy is actually shaped right by our culture. So as anthropologists, we can start to understand all of the cultures involved, the people involved, how they interact, and then that can help us develop more beneficial and more holistic immigration policies and things like that, for example. Okay, so anthropology gives us a really good framework. It's a way of thinking. So I think as students of anthropology, if you're not going to continue on and study anthropology, right, you might just think about this as a way of thinking, and you can use this anthropological way of thinking all throughout your life. So that's basically what we're going to try to accomplish with this week's guided learning activity. So make sure as you watch the videos you're answering the questions below. Those are required. Okay, they're to help you think and to work through the information. Okay, and they also let me know your level of understanding of the information, so we can kind of correct that as we move forward. Okay, if we need to. Okay. So go ahead and work through the guided learning activity. I've done short videos like this. This one's probably going to be the longest one. So we do short videos so that you can come and go. So maybe you only have 20 minutes. You don't have to find your place in the video. You can watch this one, answer the questions, close your computer, and move on for the day. Okay, so it's broken down into short chunks like that on purpose, and it helps keep you focused and energized for the class. Okay, so I hope you all enjoy this first guided learning activity. Make sure you are reading chapter 1 in your textbook, which I do have here. This is your textbook. Okay, make sure you have read chapter 1. And then I also want you to make sure you go on to the AAA website and look at what they talk about as what is anthropology. Okay? All right. Enjoy your first guided learning activity. I'll see you all soon.